Hello everybody and welcome. I'm the GroundedGliscor, your favorite iron ball holding Poketuber of this channel. And today, people, I have something very special for you guys. If you look at my upload schedule, you see that we normally would have the NBA on the channel for the Mondays and the Saturdays, and today it's Monday. And today I couldn't upload a team builder or a battle because my opponent wasn't available yet to schedule a game with. So Saturday the NBA would be back up, and that would be our season 8 week 3 battle instead of week 2. We do our week 2 battle later. This is the rule of the NBA. We get an extension for that. So today I actually want to bring something else. I'm actually going to bring you guys a top 5. Today we're going to discuss the top 5 Pokemon in the draft league for the OU tier. I will also do some videos on UU, RU, NU, and a separate video for Megas. So as you understand, we're taking down the OU tier right now. And as a disclaimer, I will not use Megas into this video. The Pokemon on this list are, on my opinion, based of Pokemon that I have used during my entire time in draft leagues. And again, this is my opinion. If you have a different opinion, or have seen me battle, or have seen me indeed battle in some leagues, you can maybe leave down below what you think was the best Pokemon which I have used, which sticks to the current tier we are taking now. So I hope you will enjoy this. Leave a like if you do, and let's get straight into this. So, as our top 5 spot, I have picked Clefable. So, Clefable was one of the Pokemon I've used in my first Pokemon draft league, which I joined. Clefable was just my, mostly it was there for a wall, it was there as a specially defensive wall. And to be honest, I really like to be used because it can be used offensive, because it has base 95 special attack, it has 90 special defense, as you can see, and it has base 95 HP. So it can actually be an offensive Pokemon as well, because it can hold the Life Orb and have the Magic Guard, so it doesn't take damage. Unaware is just great for Clefable due to it be taking on, for example, sweepers, like for example Zard X can, for example, set up on your face with a couple T-dances, but Clefable comes in with Unaware, and then it's not that big of a threat. You cannot maybe deal with it as much, but since it's draft league format, you have ways to come around. Q-Charm is not used that often, maybe for some weird plays, but it's not that often. Mostly you go for Magic Guard to actually as a status absorber, because Clefable can be used as a status absorber, sweep blocker, as I would call it, as well as defensive wall in some cases, especially defensive wall, or just offensive. It can also be a cleric because it gets access to Wish, Heal Bell, Aromatherapy. It can also heal itself with Soft Boiled and Moonlight. And actually I put Clefable down on the number 5 spot because I've used it in my first league and it didn't come that often, to be honest. I've used other Pokemon more. Because it's also dependable on the draft which I had, and I think just Clefable comes in the number 5 spot for that. As we go to the number 4 right now, as the number 4 spot, I decided to put Excadrill in there. Excadrill is one of the Pokemon which I've used very effectively during my time in the league, and that is because it has just a good typing. Its abilities are just good, and his stats are overall, it's also very good because he's a reliable rapid spinner user. It's pretty bulky because he has a high HP stat, which is 110 base, and he has 65 base special defense. So he can actually also be an assault vest spinner, for example, and can also take hits very well due to its typing. It's a good switching. As for its abilities though, it has Mold Breaker as its first ability. It has Mold Breaker as an ability. And what Mold Breaker does, if you don't know, Mold Breaker actually removes the ability of the opposing Pokemon in front of you. It's like, for example, if Excadrill comes in on Rotom Wash and it uses and it has Mold Breaker, it can freely Earthquake because the Levitate would be gone. This will also work for abilities like Filter. It will work for Unaware, and all that kind of things, you know. Sand Rush and Sand Force are mostly used against Sand teams or with Sand teams, with support from Tyranitar and Hippowdon, for example. because Sand Rush actually doubles your speed in the sand, so you can pretty much invest in more bulk and attack if you have a reliable sand setter, or you can just invest in a little bit of speed if you need to outspeed more. And Stand Force is just there, which boosts the moves of Steel, Rock, and Ground type moves. So, what Excadrill what Excadrill did for me during my time in the league is pretty much, it was a reliable spinner, it was a good scarfer, a good band user, and maybe even a life orb user. And with it was actually on my 3rd league which I joined, and Excadrill was really reliable in that case. I used it in combination with, what was it? Let me think. I used it in combination with my Mega Slowbro team, which I had. I had Excadrill on that team, just as a reliable spinner, because I just needed one, because Mega Slowbro doesn't want to get taken down by hazards. Excadrill is also a good typing, because it has the ability to take on fairies. It can take on Volt Switch in the Draft League, which are pretty much standard in the Draft League, because you normally want a Volturn core just to get out of there and make some good plays around them. Excadrill had actually been on the number 4 spot for me due to its usage for me. The moves that it gets, its typing, and just the overall things that he could provide for me during my time in the league, and it was very reliable to come down with. So, as we go on to the number 3 spot, I actually put down Tangrowth. So, Tangrowth is actually a very good bulky Pokemon, which actually has the Regenerator ability. It has the potential to have Leaf Guard, or it has Chlorophyll, and it has decent stats all around, because it has 100 base HP in attack, 125 base defense, 110 special attack, and 50 in special defense and speed. So with its pure grass typing, it doesn't add on some weaknesses, like for example which Amoonguss gets, for example, which is Regenerator, because it makes it weak to Psychic and such. What Amoonguss would have over Tangrowth is its typing. Due to the poison type, it may be weak to Psychic, but it probably also gets the resistance to fairy types, which Tangrowth loses. You lose a couple resistances, and you add you tune down your weaknesses, and you also add your weakness. You turn down your weaknesses, like for example, you gain the weaknesses on your overall draft if you do lose Amoonguss for Tangrowth, because you maybe lose your fairy type switch in or something, because Amoonguss is just very reliable for that. But Tangrowth has its uses. Tangrowth has also been on my first ever league, same as Clefable. It is there also for some bulk, and it worked really well for me. The reason I put this over Excadrill and Clefable was because of the set I've run effectively in the past, which put it down so close to me for actually usage. So what I actually ran, it was against an opponent who had Charizard X, Charizard Y in the sun, and I took advantage of it with Protect, Chlorophyll, and then I had Agent Power. So at that set I ran actually enough speed to outspeed Charizard Y, and I had enough special attack to OHKO Charizard Y, because I could run Modest if I'm correct. So because at the time I didn't have any switch-ins to Charizard Y due to its coverage which it had, and Tangrowth was actually my only switch into it. Well, it was my check to it. So that's why Tangrowth is on the number 3 spot. Tangrowth is very effectively as a defensive wall because of this base 125 defense and its HP. It can also be a good special defensive wall due to its typing, and it can run even effectively with the Assault Vest. Because, for example, with an Assault Vest you can run Knock Off, you can run Giga Drain, Leaf Storm or whatever, and maybe Earthquake, Poison Jab maybe even. And if you don't run Assault Vest, then for example lefties, you can run Protect Lead Seed, you can run Toxic, just to take advantage of that. Chlorophyll is mostly used on Sun teams or to counter Sun teams. In some ways, just it depends on the draft which they had, like for example the same as which I explained earlier with Excadrill. So that is why Tangrowth is on the number 3 spot for me. So if we actually go down right now to the number 2 spot, we actually got here Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is actually a very effective mon for me, because I've used it also in the first league I've ever been in, and I used it also in the 4th league I've been in. Rotom Wash didn't have much time on my draft during my first league because I traded it away for Raikou because I already had a water type at that time. So Rotom Wash actually is a decent Pokemon all around because it has 50 base HP, it has 65 base attack, which is not used that often, but it has base 107 defense and special defense in both stat, and base 105 special attack with a 68 speed. So it's actually a kind of speedy electric type Pokemon which can abuse the Volt Switch, which you probably will need in the Pokemon Draft League. It has both defenses used, which can be also provided for some bulk, because you can even run a defensive Pokemon, and you can also run it as a specially defensive mon, even as an offensive sweeper with potentially of Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, maybe even Hex, for example, or Shadow Ball, Signal Beam. Those are just some examples which Rotom Wash gets. And Rotom Wash doesn't actually need the things to be effective because it has only one weakness, which is grass typing. So you actually need to have something to compare with Rotom Wash which can take grass type moves. Like for example, it just needs to be something like Giga Drain and Leaf Storm, etc. Because Grass Knot is not doing anything, because Rotom is a very light Pokemon, so we have that also going for you. Rotom Wash actually is here on the number 2 spot because I thought that he is a very good pivot, a very good and reliable defensive mon, which can also work with status. It's a good Volt Switcher. It can be good offensively. You can even run Trick Scar, for example, or Psych Up, which I've also used. I've also used Psych Up Rotom Wash in the past against Calm Mind Mega Slowbro, which also worked very effectively, and then I swept his entire team with it. So that's why it's on the number 2 spot, because it has some good some things going for it, in my opinion, which I really like. And Rotom Wash is actually very recommended by me, because Rotom Wash is just what you actually need on most drafts, because of its typing, its coverage which it gets. Also, it's not very versatile like some other ones, but still it can get the job done on what you need it, because you normally use it as a defensive mon, which actually is all you need if you have just an offensive Mega Pokemon on the team, for example. So that's actually it for Rotom Wash, and let's go to the number 1. But before we go to the number 1 spot, I actually want to thank all of you guys so far for the help and support on the channel this far. We released some couple things right now, and I just made a new schedule for the I made a new upload schedule for the channel, and you can find that in the channel description on my channel. And this is actually going to be a filler for the NBA if I can't upload the NBA. But if you want this to be a series a part of the NBA, I can make it work. Just let me know in the comments below, leave a like, and I will see what will happen. If I reach 12 likes, I will probably think about if I will make this a consistent series or not, or just a filler for the NBA. That will all be on you. So that is actually it for now, and now we're actually gonna go to our number 1 spot, and our number 1 spot goes to Mew. Mew isn't just on the number 1 spot because it is a legendary Pokemon. It's not for that, it's because of its stats and usage. So Mew is actually a very reliable Pokemon, which I've used in the past, and it has base 100 all across the board, which helps with everything pretty much. Because base 100 speed also breaks the 100 barrier, for example. Well, it doesn't break, it ties with the 100 barrier. And most Pokemon you want to have on your draft, except Pokemons, need to come across the base 100 barrier of speed, or base 100 or above, because of the things that are drafted. And if you have a base 100 Pokemon, you can also run just the boosting stats, for example, because like for example, if you want an offensive one and you normally need Timid, if it has a lower speed, you can now actually run Monst and do more. The reason I actually put Mew in the number 1 spot is because of what it gets. It gets practically all TM moves. It gets also moves which can learn by HM, like for example, it's a good defog user. It can heal itself with Soft Boiled. It is practically so many moves which it can abuse, and your opponent never knows what you actually bring. So Mew is always an unexpected Pokemon. In Draft League, I've seen so much people use it as as a defogger, but Mew can also be offensive. Like for example, I use Mew as a counter to Mega Altaria with Gunk Shot. I also ran offensive Mew with like for example Flash Cannon and such. Just so many things you can actually run with it, because it can go from moves like I believe Tackle to what is it? Hydro Pump. I believe it gets that. I'm not sure. Well, that's actually pretty much the stats which well, that's actually the Pokemon which I like, and only its ability is Synchronize. Synchronize, actually, for the people who don't know, Synchronize is the ability that if you get status, it will pass down the status element, the status that you got to the Pokemon that used it. So, for example, if Rotom Wash decides to Toxic you can actually Toxic it back with Synchronize. So it's actually good statuser because it absorbs it and then it sends it back. So that's actually the reason why I put Mew in the number 1 spot. So I don't have anything else to say about Mew. It's just Mew. It has base 100 across the board. It gets many Mews and it's very usable in the Draft League format, and it's also a Pokemon I would recommend on your team just as a standard. So that's actually pretty much it for right now for the first top 5 which I did. And if you like this top 5, leave a like down below, please. Subscribe if you have not. Leave a comment what you think I would need to improve. Because every feedback is welcome, and thank you so much for everything, and I will see you in the next video whenever I'm gonna make. See you next time, everyone.